Hello everyone and welcome to our story time. Are you ready for some amazing adventures with Peppa Pig and her family? Today, we have two wonderful stories for you. First, we'll join George as he discovers some truly magical flowers. And after that, we'll visit a very special rock garden with Peppa and all her friends. It's going to be so much fun. Let's get started. Our first story is called George's Magic Flowers. One sunny morning, Peppa and her little brother George were playing in their garden. Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig were there too, enjoying the lovely weather. "What a beautiful day," said Mummy Pig, smelling a red rose. Suddenly, George pointed at something small on the ground. "Dinosaur," he squeaked. It wasn't a dinosaur, it was a tiny seed. "What's that, George?" asked Peppa. "It's a seed," explained Mummy Pig. "If we plant it, a beautiful flower will grow." George's eyes widened. A flower from a tiny seed? It sounded like magic. Daddy Pig helped George dig a little hole in a flower pot. George carefully dropped the seed inside and covered it with soil. "Now it needs water," said Daddy Pig, handing George a small watering can. George gently watered his seed. "Now what happens?" asked Peppa. "Now we wait," smiled Mummy Pig. George sat and watched the pot. He watched, and he watched. But nothing happened. "Oh," said George, looking a bit sad. "It takes a little time, George." Daddy Pig chuckled. "Flowers need sunshine and water and a bit of patience." The next morning, George ran outside to check his pot. He looked closely. A tiny green sprout was poking out of the soil. "Look!" shouted Peppa. "George's seed is growing." George was so excited. He giggled and jumped up and down. "It's a magic flower," he declared. Every day, George watered his plant and made sure it got plenty of sunshine. The little sprout grew taller and taller, and soon a little bud appeared at the top. One morning, the family came outside to find the most beautiful bright yellow flower had bloomed. It was a big, cheerful sunflower. "Wow, George," said Peppa. "Your magic flower is amazing." George stood proudly next to his flower, which was now much taller than he was. He gave it a gentle hug. He had grown it all by himself, with a little bit of patience and a lot of care. George loved his magic flower, and now it's time for our next story. This one is called The Rock Garden. One day, Peppa and her friends were at the playground. They had been playing on the swings and the slide, but now they were looking for something new to do. "I'm a bit bored," said Susie Sheep. "Me too," said Danny Dog. Just then, Madame Gazelle clapped her hands. "Children, I have a wonderful idea," she announced. "We are going to make a rock garden." "A rock garden?" Everyone was curious. "What's a rock garden?" asked Peppa. "It's a garden made of rocks and stones," explained Madame Gazelle. "We can collect interesting rocks and arrange them to make a beautiful display." The children thought this sounded like a fantastic adventure. Madame Gazelle gave everyone a little bucket. "Your mission is to find the most interesting rocks you can," she said with a twinkle in her eye. "Look for different colors, shapes, and sizes." The children scattered, their eyes scanning the ground like little explorers. Peppa found a smooth, gray, round stone. "It looks like a little potato," she giggled. George found a tiny sparkly white pebble. He loved how it shone in the sun. Susie Sheep found a flat, red stone perfect for skimming. Danny Dog discovered a big bumpy black rock that looked like a lump of coal. Rebecca Rabbit found a long thin stone that looked like a carrot. Each rock was unique and special. Soon, everyone's buckets were full. They gathered around a patch of soil Madame Gazelle had cleared. "Excellent work, everyone," she praised. "Now, let's arrange them." Peppa placed her potato rock next to Rebecca's carrot rock. "Look, a vegetable patch," she laughed. George put his sparkly pebble right in the middle, like a shining star. Danny Dog put his big bumpy rock at the back to be a mountain. Susie Sheep used her flat stones to make a winding path through the garden. Pedro Pony arranged his collection of brown rocks into a circle. "It's a dinosaur's nest," he declared. Everyone worked together, carefully placing their treasures. The rock garden started to look amazing. It was a miniature world created from their imaginations. When they were finished, they all stood back to admire their work. The collection of different colors, shapes, and textures looked wonderful. There was the potato and carrot patch, the sparkly star, the big mountain, and a dinosaur's nest. Hooray! They all cheered. Our rock garden is the best garden in the whole world, said Peppa. Madame Gazelle smiled. You see, she said, even with simple rocks, you can create something truly beautiful when you work together. What wonderful adventures! George learned that with a little patience and care you can grow something amazing. And Peppa and her friends discovered that you can use your imagination to create beauty from the simplest things, like rocks in a garden. Teamwork and creativity make everything more fun. Thank you so much for joining us for Storytime today. We hope you had as much fun as we did. Don't forget to come back soon for more stories and adventures with Peppa and all her friends. Bye for now.